Hi everyone, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a great day like always. And today I'm going to be covering Ford stock. And in this video, we're going to find out if it's a good investment or not. Now, I'm going to be analyzing the graph, giving you guys the highs and the lows, and then also giving you guys some fundamentals. I think you guys are going to like this video a lot because there's going to be a lot of hidden gems in terms of information. Highly encourage you guys to watch it all the way through out the end. And then that way you can make your own decision. Now, a quick disclaimer like always, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a professional, and everything I do share with you guys is just my opinion and it's not advice. And by the way, as for positions, I do not own any Ford stock at the moment. Okay, so we're going to start off with the graph first and then get into the fundamentals later. So that way you guys have a reference. The last trading day was February 19th, 2021. It closed at $11.58, so right here. And we have a downward trend resistance line that has been formed ever since 2014. So you can see the dates right here. So there's a touch point right here, touch point right here, touch point right here. You can see the slant right there. Touch point arguably right here. Had a false breakout, but still a touch point nonetheless. Touch point right here. So back tested, got shot down, went straight through the resistance, which is perfect, and it went straight through the moving average right here, the long one. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning the moving average, they act as support and resistance, and in this case, it would have acted as resistance, but yet it went through both this resistance level and the moving average resistance, which is awesome. So the thing is, I think that you guys are gonna like is we had a downward trend also since 1999 as well. So touch point right here, multiple touch points right there, and the cool part about it though is you guys seem to be good shape to pass this downward trend resistance line. But I'm going to show you guys something that's repeated in history for this stock, and it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to show you in like about 10-15 seconds. But before I do, what you guys need to do is obviously break through this resistance line. MACD line is in the positive still, so that's perfect. You guys had a bounce right there. Great. So far it looks good, and hopefully you guys do break through it. Now if you need to break through it, or not need to, but you need to pass hypothetically around $12.72, $12.77. Depends on when you pass it, by the way. As you go lower, the lower the resistance price gets, and as you if you pass it quickly, it'll be like $12.85. So it depends on when you pass it. I'm gonna go through the levels as to what levels you guys need to pass soon, but I just want to show one part for the history part. So if you look right here, you almost have like a downward trend resistance line as well, almost copying right here, right? And then let me just do this. Let me go to all. Okay, so because I think it'll show more clearly. Downward trend resistance line, hypothetically, it's not the cleanest one, but it's almost there. This one's more cleaner, downward trend resistance line. But you can see this dip right here, same dip, right? This is in 2009. It's almost identical. Then you have this dip just before this dip, and this dip just before this dip. And the similarities are like, it's crazy. Like you got this right here, that part right here. Let me see, like you see that peak right here and then down, peak right there, then down. Then you got the sideways stuff and then the two peaks right here, these 2 points. You got the sideways and then the 2 points, and then you got the drop and then recovery and then the drop, right? Drop, recovery, and then the drop, right? And then you got the 2 points right here. You got 2 points right here. You got MACD line, the short one underneath, obviously the long one above, but it's just pretty much like this stretch right here, the same thing, short, top. Now the only thing is though, if you think it's gonna repeat, right? You have an upward trend support line right here. This one is a little bit more, not as defined. This one's more defined, right? But it ends up going and then failing. It doesn't necessarily just, it goes up, but it doesn't continue the run to the highs, right? It actually ends up arching down. So it looks like we're in this phase if you were thinking we're going to repeat. So we would have more room to grow. But this one's a better sign though, because today is a better sign than before because let me see. So I think what it was it had that's what it was. So there was a downward trend resistance line and it got shot down by that downward trend resistance line, right? So you got one touch point here, second touch point here, third touch point right here, right? Now, technically it could still happen. You might still get shot down, but it looks like we might be in this phase right here. I don't think we're in this phase right now ultimately, but it could be accelerated obviously. Like it is compressed. You see how how this one's a lot shorter than this one. This one's a deeper dive and a deeper recovery. So it could just be accelerated and get shot down. So you got to keep in mind, again, nobody knows, like always, just like what I always say, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen today, tomorrow and all that stuff. But it could meet that resistance line and just get shot down. But I'm kind of optimistic for the fundamentals that I'm going to be showing you soon. But before I get to that, when you go to the 1 year chart, you can see touch points right here, 1, 2, and a couple here. So let's just say one conglomerate all the way right here. So 1, 2, 3 touch points. Now, don't be too worried if it does this, because I'm kind of banking on it to do that and then go back up and then even get shot down once it hits the resistance level and then breaks through. So that's all fine, right? So don't worry about that. If it starts coming down a little bit, don't panic. But again, this is all just my opinion, not advice. So you see a touch point right here. I believe it was a touch point right there. Yeah. So if I go sideways here, there's a touch point right here, touch point right here. So you have support to the upside, right? Touch point right here as well. This was all resistance at these touch points right here. If I just keep it leveled for a sec. And so you pass resistance, obviously, from this point, and then moving up, you have amazing support, it looks like. So that's one reason why I'm optimistic. You're above moving averages. MACD line is crossed over to the positive. So that's all good, right? Okay, so as you get going to the upside, you could have a false breakout and then hit 1325 and then get shot down. So like right here, you can see it acts as resistance, touch point right here, couple touch points as support right here, touch point right here as resistance. Let's see, what else? Resistance touch point right here. And then I remember I checked a couple times here too. There's support touch points right here, resistance touch point right here. So you could get shot down at 1325, 1327, around that ballpark, right? Which would make it a false breakout, because what would happen is it would just go past it and then just get shot down, right? Which hopefully doesn't happen. Another possibility too, though, is it could get shot down, come back up, and bounce off the resistance line, creating it as a support line, right? But that's the first important level. The next important level, when I checked it, was around, okay, yeah, that's 1428. So you could see the touch point right here. Let me see, right about here, 1428, touch point right here, touch point right here, right? You just look at the dashed lines and then see where it's like pretty much going at, right? Let me see, you cut a couple support lines, touch points right here, and then let's go here. Yeah, you got a resistance touch point right here, if I keep it straight. So right there. So you got quite a bit of support / resistance at 1428. The ultimate level you need to pass, there's a couple more. There was one at 1630, I believe, if I went through it. But the one thing I want to get to, because I want to keep the video short, is you need to pass pretty much, if you guys end up passing the $19, the high 1894, let's just say, and then 1960, once you pass $20, I would say, just so that way you cover the false breakouts to the upside, because you don't want it to pass and you get in and you, like, let's say you're debating to get in and you want everything to be solidified before you jump in. You don't want it to like be a false breakout, come back down because you bought in at the exact $19.30, right? So let's just say it's 1921. To make sure it's good, $20, it hits $20. Honestly, I think if it hits $20, you guys are going to start flying. Pretty much here's the peak, $37.30. It could have been more because sometimes the graphs are a little bit compressed if it happens too quickly within a couple of days. But yeah, so if you guys, if it ends up going to $20, then you guys will skyrocket. But again, nobody knows. This, just take everything with a grain of salt. And this is all just my opinion, not advice. Okay, so now for the fundamentals, and this is the reason why I think Ford's interesting, not just because of the graph, because the graph does look good, but if you back it up with fundamentals, it makes it even more interesting. Now, keep in mind, I'm not invested into Ford at all. I'm just trying to help out in terms of give information for either current investors for Ford or people thinking about investing into Ford. Now, if you look at revenues, or actually, wait, the main thing too, before I get into revenues and financials, is because they're highly invested, in my opinion, in terms of electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles. I'm going to be showing data or information backing that up. But before I do, I'm going to go through the financial revenue and all stuff. So for 2018, the revenue was $160 billion. And I'm going to go to a competitor. So 2018, GM's numbers were $147 billion. So Ford beats it there. $155 billion for 2019. GM's was $137 billion. So Ford beats it there again. And if you're looking at gross profits, 2018 GM's profits were 24 billion. Or no, sorry about that. Ford's profits. Hopefully I think I might have said GM though. But Ford's profits was 24 billion, and GM's is, where is it? 14 billion right here. So Ford beats it there. And then as of 2018, 21 billion for 2019, and GM's is 13 billion. By the way, just to show you, it's GM right here, Ford right here, Ford. And as of 2020, 127 billion for Ford. GM is 122 billion. So it's close, but still Ford wins. And gross profit is 13 billion, give or take. And for Ford, right here again, just to show you, 14 billion. So Ford has been winning in terms of numbers a little bit, it seems like, overall. But this is the part that everybody is a little bit worried about, and I would be worried too. But I'm going to show you why I'm not too worried. So if you look at right here, its total debt is $163 billion, right? Cash is about 30 billion at hand, right? Total cash. Now, the reason I'm not too worried about that, if you look here, before the pandemic, where is it? Financials, before the pandemic, it was earning roughly about that, right? So now when you have low interest rates and it's essentially free money, I do like when a company does invest a lot in terms of R&D, if they're doing it properly. And I think Ford is. Now, is it moving in the greatest speed and all that stuff? That's debatable. I don't necessarily think that they're moving efficiently, probably. That's probably what's hindering them. But are they moving in the right direction? I think they are. Are they doing it the greatest possible way? Maybe not. Again, that's arguably debatable, right? So, nonetheless, they have roughly the amount of revenue they're getting is equivalent to their debt. So that's pretty good. In terms of cash on hand, they pretty much have roughly about 20% versus debt. So that's not too bad either. So that's pretty good. So as for GM, their debt is $111 billion, so a little bit over $50 billion less than Ford's, but their total cash on hand is about $24 billion, a little bit less than Ford's as well. Ford's is $30 billion. Now, the reason why I'm comparing the two, obviously they're both automakers in the same city, et cetera, but in terms of market cap, this is the interesting part. Is this statistic? Okay, so GM's market cap is at $76 billion, yet Ford's is at $46 billion. So I know you can't necessarily always compare them exactly like apples to apples. There's also multiple variables here and there to consider. The only thing is, though, when it comes to massive R&D, I think Ford's doing a better job. No, not doing a better job. Jumping in more, I would say. Now, in terms of GM, I think they're playing it safe. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, right? It could be a good thing. But Ford seems like, in terms of R&D, dumping way more money. Hopefully it pays out in the end, right? So that's the thing. So it could catch up. Technically, Ford is undervalued if you look at it in terms of revenues, profits, how much potential they have for the future. Now, in terms of EV and all that stuff and autonomous vehicles, they've invested in Rivian in the past. I'm going to link everything down below, by the way, if you want to check out the articles and read them and all that stuff. But yeah, they've invested in them before, $500 million. They invested $1 billion recently. This is February 17th, 2021. When was the Rivian one? I believe this was January 26th, 2021. Actually, no, this is posted lately though, but it's the Rivian news is a little bit old. I think it's roughly 2 years old. I can't remember. But $1 billion electric vehicle factory in Germany as of February 17th, 2021. And also earlier this month, we reported on Ford announcing that it is doubling its planned electric vehicle investment to $22 billion through 2025. So that's massive investments right there too as well. Now, as for the EVs or autonomous vehicles, they've partnered up with Domino's in the past, and they've partnered up with Postmates, I believe, too. And that's pretty cool because the plan was to deliver autonomous pizza or other food services with Postmates, just autonomously, right? And that's a cool feature as to what will be happening for the future, and I think it will be beneficial. The only thing is, though, they did meet a little bit of roadblock because in nice weather places, it's fine. You could go out and pick up pizza or whatever food you might have from a vehicle, right? It might be a little bit less convenient. You might want to go have somebody deliver it to your door, but when it's snowing and it's a blizzard outside, how compelled are you to walk outside and pick up your pizza when it's like freezing, blizzard, and all that stuff, right? Maybe people are going to get adjusted to it. Who knows? But this is in the right direction, and I believe they started doing this in, this article is in August 29th, 2017, by the way, and I believe they started working in 2016, because this is already a picture during that time of 2017 August, right? So if they already have this in the works during that time, they obviously worked in advance before that date. Now, Ford teams up with Domino's, Postmates, in Miami to test delivery via autonomous vehicles. This was in 2018, February 27th. So in Miami, they started working there. Before, it was in Auburn Hills in Michigan at that time. And then Ford postpones. So now this is the hiccup a little bit, right? Ford postpones their autonomous vehicles because this was during the pandemic time, I believe this was posted. April 28th, 2020, until 2022. There's a little bit more of a hiccup about this, but I would not be worried about the hiccup though. And I'm going to explain why. But before, I'm just going to show you the hiccup a little bit. Domino's will deliver pizza using autonomous vehicles this year. So this was posted in June 19th, 2019, right? That was posted a little bit after the fact. So maybe they're still teamed up because I think they mentioned Domino's here before, but I have to double check. Again, everything's going to be linked down below so you can read it up too, just to make sure. But they team up with another company, Domino's. Where was it? I think it was called like Nunu or something. I can't find the name right now. Sorry about that. Just to keep it short, but it was another company. The reason why I'm not too worried though is this is the reason. So the fact that they've already done the work. And by the way, Ford has teamed up with BlackBerry, or not team. They had some work here and there, and BlackBerry has been doing work since 2016 as well in terms of smart city partners and all that stuff. So in general, Ford has been in the mix since I think 2016, again, from what I've stated earlier. So working that whole entire time, regardless of the partnerships that don't follow through, you at least have that solid foundation of work you've done and you've made progress, right? So overall, they have a step ahead, hypothetically, more than their competitors in some sense, right? So that is beneficial. I'm not too worried about that because I do still see a future in terms of what they've invested in terms of R&D, research and development. You could also see even the Mustang Mach-E. That looked pretty cool. In terms of reviews, it seems like it's doing pretty well from what I've been hearing. But again, take everything with a grain of salt from what I'm sharing, but I think this is all pretty beneficial for moving forward in the future. The only thing is though, they have to get more efficient on the way they're doing things. That's the main biggest thing I've noticed from what I've seen. Again, I haven't done a deep dive though overall into the company. This is just what I think was pretty interesting from what I was finding, especially the graph part. I thought that was really cool. So now this is basically an article also saying what they've learned. Again, it was just basically stating about the snowstorms and all that stuff. So that was not my original thought, just to let you know. This came from the article. Again, everything will be posted down below. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Overall, I think Ford, in my opinion, again, this is not advice, I think it is a sound investment, but you got to watch out for the resistance levels because if it gets knocked down around the $13 price point and does not recover and bounces back up to the upside and breaking those resistance levels, then you would be in bad shape. It would be repeating essentially the same thing that happened since the 1999 kind of stuff, where it just basically got shot down by the resistance level and then went straight down. Yeah, it came back up. This is in a matter of years, by the way. So this is 2010, and then this is 2013. So you'd be waiting about 3 years for a recovery, right? That's obviously not what you want to do. So just keep an eye out on that. But overall, I think they're moving in the right direction. I think they're good, and they just got to be a little bit more efficient. But at the same time, I'm not so I have no idea. This is just all my opinion. Again, not advice. So do your own research and form your own opinion. But thanks again for always watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys did like the video, consider dropping a like. Helps out the channel. If you like videos in terms of stocks, financial stuff, passive income, mortgages, credit score, consider subscribing. Helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thanks again for the awesome support. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.